Okay, so I'm gonna count to 3 in my head, and then I'm gonna get us started. Yes? Everybody say yes.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Yes.
Okay, so it's going, let me see. I'm gonna count. 3, 2. All right, good morning, everybody. How are you today?
Awesome.
Great.
Great.
Great to be with you this morning. My name is Giovanni Gonzalez, and we're live on the Daily Huddle. Thank you for joining us at the live studio. I am truly honored to be with you every morning and get to create the context and create the opportunity the Daily Huddle is, which is an opportunity to create, to start your day powerfully, to give you context for the rest of your day. And the way that you live your morning, it gives you the rest of your day, and the way that you live each day gives you the rest of your life. And the Daily Huddle is here committed to just have you the tools to make the right decisions, to take the right actions, and to have an extraordinary life. My name is Giovanni Gonzalez, and I'm truly excited about today's speaker because of the impact that she has been on my life, but also because of the impact that she has been to so many people's lives. Good morning, Sorrel. How are you today? Sorrel is my business partner and the co-host of the Daily Huddle, and he's the #1 executive coach, and he's an expert in doing that. Thank you, Sorrel, for being here.
Thank you, Giovanni. And if you guys haven't noticed this, there's this love fest going between Giovanni and I and all of you. He calls me the #1 executive coach, and I call him, and rightfully so, the #1 transformational leadership coach. And Giovanni, thank you for being my partner, and thank you for hosting the Daily Huddle, which is truly a contribution to the world and the fulfillment of something that we've been wanting to have as a contribution to the world forever. So thank you, Rita, for being here. Thank you, all of you, all 27 of us in the virtual studio audience. Welcome. And everyone who's watching live on Facebook when we post it, and on YouTube right now. Giovanni, I cannot wait for you to introduce our expert guest this morning.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Well, I'm going to just say a few things about Rita from the context of what she has created in her life, and also who she has been for me, which is that just really a remarkable human being. So I want to say just a little bit about who Rita is for me, and then I'm going to read a little bit of who she is with your permission. Rita is that human being that at some point, just with a phone call, opened up for me the opportunity to believe in myself, in something else, that something else was possible for my life. And I couldn't really understand, why would a stranger, someone I don't have any relationship with, someone who our lives did not cross paths before, and all of a sudden I have someone on the phone saying, you know, everything that you're saying just kind of leads me to see that there is a little bit of a blind spot in the way that you see yourself. And, you know, you can just say something else. And she just kept asking me to say something else until I said something else, and something opened up for me. And what opened up for me is the life I have now. So I truly have to recognize that. And it's always an honor for me to be in the same room with Rita Williams. Rita, thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to say a few things on the professional aspect of Rita. It's just an unremarkable, extraordinary accomplishment in her life. She is the CEO and CFO of the law firm of Williams and Associates. She was born in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Grady Hospital, married to Dr. Ray Williams Jr., proud mother of 3 children, 4 grandchildren. She graduated from Spelman College in a bachelor's degree, and a graduate of the University of Michigan with an MA, and a graduate of the University School of Law, of Emory University School of Law. She is the injury at Trial Lawyers, founder of the law firm. As I said, she's selected as one of the top lawyers in America in 2019, and recently earned a Lifetime Achievement Award for her contribution to society and featured in the Wall Street Journal in November 27, 2019. She's an art collector and my friend Rita Williams. Rita, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all for waking up early and being on this call. I really include it as a great honor. I feel as though I'm absolutely among friends and people who love me, which is a big deal. Thank you, Giovanni and Sorrel and everyone who's here to join us. So my topic today is how to reinvent yourself at any age and redefine what is possible. I want to say it one more time because I love it. How to reinvent yourself at any age and how to redefine what is possible. So I want to include a saying, and it's going to sort of, where do we get started? I was thinking early this morning, where do we start? And I came up with a quote that one of my good friends tells me all the time. And it's a Les Brown quote. And it says, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So we'll start at the beginning. When I was born, Giovanni actually asked me to talk about some parts of it. I was born here in Atlanta, and I wanted you all to know that I'm what we call a Grady baby. And you guys know we can't live without Grady. So my parents were young. My mom was about 20 and my dad was about 25. I had an older sister who was 14 months older than me. Her name is Claudette, and she'll be on with us today. But what I want you to know about that is I had to reinvent myself or invent myself very young. When I was born, I had these very physically beautiful parents. And when people saw me, they would say, look at that child. What's wrong with her? She looks funny. She's left-handed. Now, today being left-handed may not seem like a big deal, but when I was born, it was a big deal. I mean, people would try to change the way you wrote because they thought something was wrong or it was evil to be left-handed. And actually, I'm having people look at me now, and what they didn't know is that our brain, it's not just our hand, but our brain makes us left-handed. So all that we were dealing with. And I just remember, even when I was in kindergarten, I was really uncoordinated, and all the little girls who probably couldn't dance very well, they were all dancing, and I was supposed to be a fairy. And they said, Rita, we're gonna make you a frog because you really don't know how to be a 5-year-old fairy. So I was like, okay. So what came out of that? Why tell you that story? Because I remember distinctly being in my living room and really talking, really praying, because my dad was a minister, and saying, you know I look funny. I'm kind of, I can't do a lot of things that everybody else does. People say I'm kind of slow, and I know what that feels like to be named as slow. But God, I want you to give me something special. Give me a gift. And I tell you that because no matter what the conversation is around you, you can speak something over your own life. You can speak power. You can speak goodness. You can speak bigness over your own life. Ask for what you want. What I want may not be what you want, but ask for what you want. Remember that. So I prayed, and the gift that God gave me, which was so funny, this slow, awkward, funny-looking little girl, he gave me the gift of reading. And I remember I had a first grade teacher who spoke life into me and said, you're such a great reader. And I started reading, and I started blossoming from this little seed that looked funny. It didn't really matter, and then everybody liked me. And it actually got to the point that I also became a leader as I look back. When I would walk into the classroom in elementary school, it seemed like people would just jump up and down and say, Rita's here, Rita's here. So you can imagine where I came from. Even at that point, something got invented, and it got invented in language, faith, belief, and power. From there, I went on to high school and had a okay high school career. But when I went to Spelman on a scholarship, I went there because my Aunt Yvonne went there and my sister Claudette went there. So I said, I'm going to Spelman College. And when I got to Spelman, I invented something else. I decided that I would do what my dad wanted me to do, and that was to become a teacher. So I majored in psychology and minored in education, and then became a student teacher and won the award as the top student teacher at Spelman. And from there, I met my husband and we moved to Michigan where he went to dental school. And I got my master's in ed psych and educational psychology and in business. One of the things I left out that you need to know about me is when I was about right after that event where I was praying, I started walking around with a drawer. Now in those days, we lived in the Jim Crow South because I was born in Atlanta. So the expectation was that you were going to be a maid or you were going to kind of have a subservient or be in some profession that necessarily wasn't a professional. And it actually, when I think about it, I would walk around with a little drawer under my arm because it didn't have a briefcase. And I would put paper in it. And I was audacious enough at that time to say, I am going to be a businesswoman. Now look at me speaking life into myself. And you gotta, if you could just go back, because it was around those times that James Brown was singing, "This is a man's world." My dad wanted me to be a teacher, so I became a teacher for 5 years. But I remember this really big day that somebody said to me, "Aren't you glad that Ray married you?" You know, and it made me, it sort of hit me like, ain't I special? I think Sojourner Truth said, ain't I a woman? And maybe I thought that women could be in business. They could be CEOs. They could be a wife, a mother, and a businesswoman. So at that day, I decided I'm going to law school. I'm really happy that my husband's a dentist, but I'm going to be a professional too. And so I started preparing for the LSAT. And I had 2 children, Brandon, my older son, and Monet. And I remember distinctively, there were 2 of us taking the LSAT. My youngest son wasn't even born, but I was taking the LSAT with my son in my belly. And I was like, Blake, we're gonna do this. And I was at Berkeley University taking the LSAT. I did really well because I remember something now that Steve Harvey said, that people may have more money than me, they may have more friends than me, but I can work hard and they can't outwork me. So I just always took that on, that I would work and I would create a great future. So I worked and my scores were good enough to get in Emory. And for those of you that don't know Emory, it's a very prestigious school. And there weren't many people at Emory who looked like me and who were my gender when I went to Emory. I was 10 years older than everybody there almost, because they had gone straight from college and I had taught and had 3 children by now. I want you to know the thing that's important is it is important who you pick as a partner. That may make the biggest difference in your life. Pick people who are speaking a big conversation. And my husband, when I met him, said, I want to be a dentist. And I said, I want to have a great life. And I want someone who's going to be there for me and my kids. It wasn't just, is he the cutest? And I just love it when he smiles. It was, what are you up to? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? And that's how I chose him. So from there, I went to Emory, graduated, and my grades were so great because I worked, and the way I did it was I would go to sleep, wake up at 12 midnight, and then get up and stay and study until 6 o'clock in the morning. so I could be with my children and go to bed with them and then wake up and study. I thought after my first year, I would never get enough sleep. From there, I got involved with the Growth and Development Corporation. And there I learned so many things about myself. But the thing I want to leave you with is when I started with this growth and development organization called Landmark, my goal was I want to be rich. And I'm going to go in a cave and work. Y'all remember that work word, right? Until I'm rich and famous. That's what I'm going to do. But when I got to Landmark, what I got to look at in my growth and development was my life really was bigger than me. It was about service. It was about what I could give back. And what happened in that whole transformation was I saw who my husband was. I saw all the people who mentored me, my cousin Jennifer, who had me get involved with that work. And I realized that I was not so much interested in getting, but giving my whole life away. And what I did from there, and I remember it distinctly, I was telling one of my coaches that, my goal had been to be rich. But what she told me was, Rita, you wanted to create that you were rich, but what you created was a rich life. And a rich life is a life that you can give away. So today we're here in my office in downtown Decatur. And all I can tell you is my life is about making a difference for others. Now, I know that when I take care of others, I get taken care of. I leave you with my quote, and then we'll have questions. And Sheila James taught me this quote. It says, do not pray for an easy life. Pray to be stronger, men and women. Do not pray for a task, a job that is equal to your powers. Pray for a power that is equal to the task. And if you do that, the doing of your work is no miracle, but you are a miracle. And what is a miracle? A miracle is something you cannot explain away. You can't explain it, you can't contain it. Right behind me are 7 men and 1 woman who were featured in the Wall Street Journal for our contribution to society. And when I started on the journey of giving and having a life for service, what I want you to know is the one thing I asked for that was different than asking for money. I said that I wanted to live a life where I would see the greatness in all people, and around me, they would get their greatness. Thank you all for having me. It was wonderful. I'd love to answer some questions. Thank you so much.
Wow, Rita, you took us to a beautiful journey, Rita, of your life and also of distinctions that uplifts our life. Right now, I am in awe and in inspiration. I'm going to just say just some of the things that you said that just truly impacted me right now. And you said, and how I heard it, right? You may have said it differently, but how I heard it was the things that creates my life and that makes the biggest impact in my life are created in language like believe, like faith, like love. You create that, and I can create that now, right? And I was like, oh, what am I creating right now, right? And so many different things. I don't want to keep talking because I know maybe other people want to say a few things. Sorrel, anything you want to add, or anyone want to raise your hand if you have a question?
I want the crowd of 37 people who are here to have Rita to themselves. So ask away, have fun.
Yeah,
this
let's
is
have
so
fun.
juicy.
Yeah, I see Corina has her hand raised. Go ahead, Corina.
Rita, good morning.
Good morning, Karina.
Let me ask you, you talked a lot about your contributions to others, and I'm curious, what's your favorite form of contributing to others? Like, what brings you the most joy in that aspect of yourself?
There's a lot, because I think certainly my family, they just rank right up there because they lift me. I work a lot of hours and they never complain. It's as though we're all in agreement that we're here to do what we can to make this world a better place. I think the thing professionally that I love the most is being a lawyer. And I talked about it in an interview with Star Jones, and some of you may have seen it. It's being a voice for people who don't necessarily have a voice. And you can see that little girl, right? Saying, ain't I a woman? And I even think of it sometimes now. I love, I have a gift of understanding and analysis, and to take that in a courtroom and explain it, and to see a judge move from one position to another, like being a no agreement to, wow, I never saw it that way. That's extraordinary to me. That I can do that. That's something that it makes it that I'm not working. It's a gift, and I'm so happy to give it away. And to have people know, even today in Atlanta and all over the world, that yes, a woman can be a CEO, and yes, a woman can be a thinker, and yes, I am a human being, and we all are. And we're capable of so much goodness and so much greatness. And yes, Karina, I love art. So I love buying art, and I have lots and lots of art. I love contributing to artists, and because they're giving a gift to the world, and then I can display it because I love it. So yes.
All right, who else? Thank you, Karina. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Sorrel.
So Rita, this is Jen. So what's your most challenging time? Like, you've done so many things. So what was like really challenging, and how did you get through it?
So my most challenging time I talked about last week, I think in my career, well, there were several, but I'm going to talk about my career. Professionally, my most challenging time was about 2 years ago. And it just felt like the collapse of my business. And how I got through it was I called on my coaches. I called you, Jen. I called my sister, my daughter-in-law. I called my sister. I called Giovanni. I called everyone I knew. And what I didn't realize in that time, that a miracle was awaiting us, right? Because 2 years ago, I wasn't in the Wall Street Journal. So if I had quit, just think what that represents to be on that wall with those 7 famous people, and we're going to be featured in Sky Magazine on Delta. I would not have been there. And I really thought about quitting, and I didn't give up. And what I think one of the things that made me get through it was I talked to Sheila, and she laughed about the fact that the roof had fallen in and all these things were going on. But what that told me is it wasn't the end, and it wasn't as serious. When I talked to her, it wasn't the end of the world, because I was Chicken Little, like, oh, the sky is falling, oh, the sky is falling. But when she smiled and laughed about it, it made me know that I could get through it. I don't know if that resonates, but it gave me power. Like, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. And after that, all the miracles that occurred, and I include all that happened that may have looked, I remember talking to you, Jen, and you were like, why is all this happening? I think I can include it all in a miracle, because now there's been a reinvention and a rebirth of my office. It's totally, totally unrecognizable. So beautiful. That's a miracle.
Awesome. Sheila, did you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to, hi, Rita.
Hi, Sheila.
I wanted you to, first of all, just want to acknowledge this conversation was just outstanding. You're an orator. But I wanted you to share about your the success you've caused others, or the sourcefulness in causing success in others, including your children.
Well, now, there's always this moment where I get moved, and I got moved on that question. Because remember, I created that people, it's so great. Thank you. I want to go back to that. You know how like we sometimes go, like I want it all for me. That was the person that walked into the forum, right? I want it for me. I got to be rich. But I don't need that. I want to have my life be for service, and that people would get their greatness around me. So that was a person talking to you, Giovanni, that you would get your greatness around you, me, and I would see your greatness. So my daughter is a breast surgeon in Indiana. And I remember when she was cutting the chicken, I said, girl, you should be a surgeon. She was 10 years old, cut better than me, because remember, I'm left-handed. And here she is, a surgeon, saving lives, touching millions. My son, Brandon, Ray and our son, because I am in a relationship and have been in a magnificent one. We have reared these children, and I give all glory and honor to God. I have to say that. But Brandon is a lawyer. He went to Emory, followed in my footsteps, worked at Austin and Bird. I didn't even tell you all I worked there. People said I had the golden ring. And I had another future. I wanted to be with the people. I wanted not to be the best lawyer money could buy. I wanted to be right where I am today. And Brandon is the COO and CFO of Steve Harvey Worldwide. And they are opening up Family Feud all over Africa. And it's one of the #1 shows there. And he's an executive producer. Mashawn, my daughter-in-law, my son, who has her MBA and has an insurance company that she's opening. My son, Blake, who is my rock, who is here as our office manager and production manager. I was like, what am I going to do without him? He's here working day to day with me, making sure we're successful. He was here through the storm. He was here through the remodel. I want him to know how proud I am to have him working with me. And he also has done the growth and development work with me. Jennifer had my cousin who introduced me to growth and development work, has her own company. I mean, look at all of you. My duty, my job is to make sure you are great. You are magnificent. I'm gonna use Sheila's word. You are a phenomenon. You are a miracle. It took so much for you to be here. And I want to share that and give that gift away. And I think I'm doing that.
Rita,
thank you, Sheila.
Monet has a question.
All right.
So I'm hoping that I'm able to come through because I'm driving through some farms now, the of Indiana, trying to get to work. But if you can hear my question, why do you think that coaching is important? You spoke about coaching, you discussed coaching, personal coaches, life coaches, doing the work, in quotation marks, if I would say that. Why do you think that is important for you? How you kind of reinventing yourself every day?
Well, I think it's like a fish in water. You can't really see yourself. And Monet coaches me a lot. April, Sheila James, Giovanni, Jamal, I'm looking at you. Everybody really. I used to be, when I was little, I didn't want to hear what people said because I said they say something bad about me. But now I realize that I get power from other people. And there's just, I would encourage everybody to have a coach and coaches, because I think it's that person that walked into growth and development and said, I want to be rich. And then realized that my life was about more than money. My life was about service. My life was about making a difference on the planet every day. Loving these clients who come in here with stories that would make your mouth open, and loving them and teaching my staff, when you walk in the door with them, no matter what, you love them. Every time I walk in the room with any person, if I talk to them for 5 minutes, I am in love with them. And so sometimes I forget that. And I talk to my husband, Ray, who's been my rock and who, as Brandon would say, leads by example. And I tell him all the things that I'm learning. And that life that we live, living on a lake in Ellenwood, is because of coaching. Is maybe ministering is coaching. It's all understanding that there is more that can be seen and open and given away. And I'm going to be like the poem that says, when in this life, I want to be thoroughly, right, used up. I want you to say, like what Giovanni said. Like, I think I say he knew I loved him and saw something of his greatness and listened for that greatness and got it. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Rita. Giovanni, there's nothing else that needs to be said.
No.
Yeah. To everyone who's here, I'd love to mark this moment with you. It's 9:30. There's one more question, another hand raised. Rita, do you want to take one more question? Gio, what do you think?
I'm willing, if you guys have one more minute.
Okay, Shelley Steele, go ahead. Shelley?
Unmute Shelley. Shelley works with me. She's another rock.
Where is Shelley? Well, maybe not.
I think we said it all.
Go ahead, Shelley. I just am with you.
You all right?
There you are.
Oh, okay. You can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. What I want to say, Rita, is hello, Giovanni and Sorrel. You choosing to have a rich life has not only helped you to see the greatness in others, it's also caused all of us to rise up and choose a great life.
Oh, Shelley, that's so beautiful.
And I want you to know that I love you always, and I'm very grateful that you've been my friend for all these years.
I love you, Shelley. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for loving.
Awesome.
And thank you for
Yeah,
loving.
Thank you for loving us.
Thank you so much, Shelley.
Yeah, thank you.
Very bad. Thank you. You know, I do want to say one thing, Sorrel, before we end, and it's something I'm really present to that happened to me when I met Rita, which was that I didn't know I could love another human being without knowing them. And I didn't know that until, the way she created for me in a phone call, and then the way we developed our relationship, it really gave me access to the life I get to enjoy now and the contribution I get to be. So I really want to tell you that was a gift you gave me. I didn't know I could love another human being without knowing them. So thank you, everybody, for being at the Daily Huddle. Thank you so much, Rita, for being here. It has been a real contribution for all of us. Your love came out to all of us virtually, and we got a sense of what it is like to be a transformational leader. So, Raul, you want to end us powerfully?
Well, thank you is the most powerful thing we can say right now. Rita, thank you to every one of you, all 40 of you plus who were here in the live virtual audience. Thank you. And to the world out there, be Rita.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.